7500. This is an Amazon Prime original starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the great Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This guy's been one of my favorite actors for a long time, and in the late 2000s, early 2010s, he had a run of hits that was unprecedented, going from 500 Days of Summer to Inception to 50-50, which is one of my favorite movies, to The Dark Knight Rises, to Premium Rush, to Looper. This dude was just hitting home runs every single at-bat, but when the world needed him most, he vanished. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt hasn't been in any movies for a while. Now, he did an interview recently with Jake Hamilton where he said, yeah, I went away for a little while to have kids. And you know what? That's admirable. I wish him all the happiness and success in that area, but just selfishly, as someone who's always really enjoyed watching him on screen, I've missed seeing him in movies. But now he's back in this as a pilot who is co-piloting a plane when it gets hijacked by terrorists, and hilarity ensues. Just kidding, it's actually quite serious and horrifying. This movie is really good. Boom! We did it. We've watched a movie that has risen above the level of good. I have been on a conquest of crap recently, and this movie was really a breath of fresh air. I thought this was remarkably well done. Not perfect. It does have flaws, and I will talk about those, but all in all, I do highly recommend this movie. I'm going to start off with what I liked. This movie's entire success hinges on the central core performance by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he is seriously amazing in this movie. Like, he gives one of his best performances. He is really, really remarkable, and it's too bad that this movie is so small and not a lot of people are going to see it. Even I didn't see it until a friend of mine recommended it to me. It's been out for over a week now. It really is too bad because I genuinely think his performance in this movie is good enough to earn an Academy Award nomination. Like, he is that good in this movie. The entire film hinges on his performance, and he knocks it out of the park as always. He is incredible in this. This movie's well directed, man. I mean, they rev up the tension, especially in the first half. I mean, there are some moments where you are seriously on the edge of your seat just sweating, and it is tough to watch. It reminded you of several Paul Greengrass movies, like United 93, obviously, is the first one that comes to mind, and Captain Phillips, which are two movies about hijacking situations that just rev up the tension and really make you feel like you're in that environment. You feel that claustrophobicness that just comes from being on an airplane in general, but especially in a hijacking situation where everyone is so huddled together. You're in this tiny cockpit. You really feel it, and I think this movie is really well directed. I've never seen any of the work that this director has put out before. He's a foreign dude. I think this is kind of his first foray into mainstream cinema, but I want to see what he does next. This is a really small movie, but I could get the impression that this guy is going to have a bigger, brighter future in films. I think he did a really good job directing this movie. You know, not a ton of other actors in this movie, but they're all very believable. Obviously, the whole thing is carried by Joseph Gordon-Levitt's performance, but the actors who play the terrorists are all very convincing, and they even do a good job of giving at least one of them some character dimension. I felt like his dynamic at points, especially in the latter part of the film with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, was more fascinating than it probably had any right to be. This to me is scarier than almost any other horror movie, because this is something that feels genuinely real. It could happen. It has happened, sadly, in the past. And you feel that because of how tense the direction is, but also how just so good Joseph Gordon-Levitt's performance is, how good he is at portraying the kind of anxiety that one would be feeling in this moment. There are a few negatives. I will say I think the second half of the movie is not nearly as good as the first half. It did win me over at the very, very end because there's a scene between one of the terrorists and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character that I thought was really well done. Once again, the performances carry it. But throughout the first half, I was like, man, this feels really real. This feels like something that is, no pun intended, grounded, plain humor, in reality. But then something happens with about 30 to 40 minutes left where I was like, this feels like movie magic here. This just doesn't feel like something that would actually happen. And while it is well done, and I did enjoy watching the film overall, it did negate some of the tension. Now, they do win you over at the very, very end, and I feel like the final 10-15 minutes are extremely well done. I love movies like this. I love movies that have the balls to take place entirely in one area, whether it be a film like Buried starring Ryan Reynolds or a movie like this, where you take a very small environment and you stretch it and do everything you possibly can with that environment, and it makes for a really tense, really emotional ride carried by a remarkable lead performance by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. If you have Amazon Prime, I really recommend you go out and watch this. This is easily the best movie I've reviewed on this channel so far. I guess that isn't saying much, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't adore it. You know, it is a very small film, but I think it's better than it has any right to be because of the phenomenal direction and the remarkable performance. I give it an 8 out of 10. This is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I really do recommend it, and I hope more people go out and watch it. I like supporting small, well-made films like this. You can follow me on Twitter at Castellani2014. The link to my Twitter page is in the description for this video. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. Did you see this movie? What did you think? I'm dying to know. Let's get those numbers up, all right? I really appreciate you guys watching. Have a great rest of your day. Peace and happiness.